Hello everyone and welcome to Online Equestrian Lessons. I'm Katie, and in today's video we are going to be doing some English saddle fitting. So if you've ever kind of wondered if your saddle is fitting correctly, or you're having saddle fitting issues, or you're looking at getting a new saddle and you're just needing some help sort of making sure your saddle fits correctly, keep watching. So this is Moose behind us, and he is a 4-year-old cob. And today we're going to be fitting him for a close contact saddle. So some things that we want to look at first before we even put the saddle on is kind of the horse's conformation. So as you can see, he is a pretty round boy. He's pretty big in the barrel. He's very wide as well. So we're going to be taking all of that into consideration as we are fitting him for his saddle. So one thing that we have to think about when we're fitting any horse is the shape of their withers, their shoulders. We need to be thinking about their last ribs. So I'm going to be showing you a little bit of a really simple way that you can sort of map out your horse's back and make sure that the saddle that you're going to get is going to fit your horse correctly. So the first thing is finding your horse's withers, because you want to make sure that your saddle finding your horse's shoulders. So you want to make sure that the saddle is not sitting on top of the horse's withers, as this can be really uncomfortable for your horse, and it's not going to allow your horse to be able to move properly. Okay, oh, good boy. Okay, so we're going to actually take a little piece of electrical tape here, so this won't hurt his hair, but we're going to find where his sort of shoulder blade is. And as you can sort of feel, and some horses with really that are really chunky or really mutton withered, it's kind of hard to find their shoulders. But if you feel right here, you'll be able to sort of feel where the end of their shoulder blade here is. And we want the saddle to fit like 2 to 3 fingers behind that. So I'm going to stick a piece of tape right here where his shoulder ends. So when he moves his leg forward, when he extends out, this shoulder is actually going to rotate back a little bit. So we have to make sure that the saddle fits correctly enough that when his shoulder blade or his shoulder comes back, it's actually going to come underneath the saddle a little bit and a little bit underneath the point pocket. So we want to make sure that the point pocket of the saddle is back far enough that it's not on his shoulder, and also that the saddle is big enough, it's not too small to where that shoulder can't come back and move how it needs to be. Okay, let me move him up again. Okay, good boy. Oh. Okay, the next thing that we sort of have to map out is where his last rib is. So there becomes a certain part in the horse's spine where it becomes too soft and not strong enough to carry the rider. And that's behind the 18th rib, and we don't want to put any pressure back there as it can make your horse's back really sore. So a really easy way to find the horse's last rib, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well here. Easy. But where their flank area is right here, the hair kind of is coming this way and in all different directions. If you follow the hair this way and you follow the hair this way, they kind of come together in a certain spot. If you follow that straight up, that's usually where the last rib is. And you can sort of palpate and feel as well where the last rib is. So I'm going to take another piece of tape. So this is really just an easy way to sort of map out your horse's back. You can also use chalk, but the electrical tape won't hurt their hair. So sort of map out where you think that last rib is and put your piece of tape. Okay, so the saddle has to fit in between these 2 areas. So that's really, really important. So can you see between right here and right here? That's where our saddle is going to go on this horse. So he has a pretty short back, so we have to find a saddle that's going to sort of accommodate for that. Now, you don't necessarily have to go with a smaller seat size. It's just the way different saddles are made. And then the other thing that you have to do is find a saddle that's going to fit your horse's withers. So there's lots of different widths. Some horses have really big, sharp fin sort of withers, really high withers like thoroughbreds and Arabians. And then some horses have almost no wither. He's a little bit in between. So I would say that he would need a low profile wither saddle. But another thing that you can do to make sure that the gullet of your saddle is going to fit your horse is to take any kind of bendy wire. Baling wire works really well. And right here, where you need your saddle to sit, bend that and sort of mold that wire over your horse. And then you can take that up to different saddles and put it up in the gullet of the saddle. And I'll show you the gullet of the saddle now. But you can take that piece of wire and put it up into the gullet of the saddle and make sure that that is the correct width for your horse. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop this on him, and I'm going to show you how I would sort of go about fitting the saddle. Let me move him up again just a little bit. Come here, buddy. Good boy. You want to make sure that your horse is standing square. It's really important when you're fitting your saddle that your horse is standing square. So I'm going to put this up on his back, and I'm going to put it up a little bit forward, sort of on his shoulders here. And then what you're going to do is sort of rock your saddle. And eventually you're going to find that spot where the saddle just sticks, and that's going to be where that saddle's going to sort of stay. So when you're riding and everything, eventually that saddle, no matter where you put it, is going to sit where it wants to sit, and that's where it's going to fit the horse the best, okay? So first of all, we just want to look at the overall saddle. So how is the saddle fitting? Is it cantle high? Is it pommel high? Is it even? So just the overall look of the saddle. And you can even take the stirrup leathers down. See, okay, where are my stirrup leathers hanging? Is this going to be balanced for the rider? Where are your stirrup leathers hanging? Lift up your flaps. See, okay, where are my billets hanging? What kind of girth am I going to need? Things like that. Okay, so overall, this is a really balanced saddle, so you can see that the cantle and the pommel are pretty even. You can also take a pen or a pencil, put it in the center of your saddle and roll it. And wherever it rolls in the saddle is where it's pretty much going to, wherever it stops is where it's pretty much going to sit, and you can see if your saddle's level. So if it stops back here or up here, it probably means that your saddle isn't balanced on your horse. If it stops in the middle, right over the center of gravity, that means that your saddle's going to be pretty well balanced on your horse, which is what you want. Okay, so after we've done that, I like to just rock it a little bit, see kind of, is it rocking or is it sitting well on the horse? And this one's sitting really well. And as you can see as well, it's sitting, let me bring you actually so you can see this real quick. So it is sitting in front of the 18th rib, not behind or not on the 18th rib, so it fits really well there. Your point pocket on your saddle, if I can brighten this up. Your point pocket on your saddle, if you can see this, is right here where your what do you call it, gullet plate sort of ends, your tree, okay? So even on a forward cut saddle, right here is going to be the point pocket. So this is what needs to sit behind the horse's withers, and that on this horse is sitting perfectly behind the horse's or shoulder blade right here. It is sitting behind the shoulder blade. If you had a dressage saddle, the point pocket would be right here, and the flap would come straight down, and it would still be sitting behind that shoulder blade. So another thing that you can do, like put you guys back over here. Hold on, sorry. I don't have anybody to hold the camera today. Okay, so another thing that you can do is lift up your flap and run your hand down right here. Kind of getting in the way of my tape. Run your hand down and make sure that there's no pressure points, that you can easily run your hand right down, and make sure that you feel for that shoulder, and make sure that the point pocket back here is behind that shoulder blade, that you've got a few fingers behind there. Now your flap is movable, so this isn't going to matter all that much. It's where the point pocket is and the tree on your saddle that's going to matter. Okay, let me move him up again. Good boy. He's still a baby, so he's learning to stand good. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do, you've made sure it's not rocking, you made sure it's good on the gullet of the saddle is fitting correctly, it's not behind the 18th rib. The next thing that you want to do is lift up your flap here. And I don't know, you guys might be able to see this. Your panels need to be sitting closely and having perfect even distribution on your horse's back. So if I bring you over here again and we lift up the flap, you can see how that is evenly sitting on the horse's back. It's not bridging, so it's not up where you can see air. It's sitting on his back, and that's really important. And then you can see that it's sitting perfectly behind that 18th rib. And then as well, You've got even distribution here, and you've got plenty of room for the horse's spine. Let's come around to this side, sitting evenly. And then the last thing, almost one of the very most important things, is making sure that you have room in here, that you can fit about 4 fingers here. It's so important to make sure that it's up off of your horse's withers and that you're getting that room in there. Okay, so that's sort of a little bit on saddle fitting. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to shoot me a message, comment down below, and happy riding.